Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 240 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed a soulful singer from Detroit, Michigan. Her name is Angela Davis. I connected with Angela on Threads a few months ago when she made a post about how she was looking for a different podcast to be featured on. I found out that she did music, reached out to her, we got connected. We finally made this episode happen this week. Very awesome convo this week. We discussed her beginnings in music, really just being led to the soulful side of, singing, the artists that she was a fan of coming up, what her band means to her and the different groups that she's in. And she talked about the contrast between, doing music as a solo act versus doing music in a group and, kind of comparing the two. And also, being able to do live performances. If you can check out her social media, you'll see a lot of different live performances. She's done the national anthem at the Pistons game, the Lions game, all kinds of different events in the local area. But she's also done a lot of smaller venues too. And she talked about, just her love for live performing and what it means to be able to feed off the crowd's energy and really just give it her all. And I really think the theme of this episode was, Angela just seeing it through at every stage of her journey and being able to give it her all every single day. And with new music coming in 2025, I'm excited to see what she does moving forward. And I'm just looking forward to, staying in touch with her. So I appreciate her for getting in touch with me. And without further ado, let's get into this one. So welcome everyone to episode 240 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I have an awesome artist out of Detroit, Michigan. Connected with her on Threads probably about a month ago at this point. Angela Davis is here. How you doing, Angela?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And we usually have the guests give some background to start off. How did you get into music? How long have you been doing it? Just some basic info for those that might not know you and what you do.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm a singer, songwriter, educator, vocal coach, all that good stuff. Wear many hats. I've been singing since I was around 3 years old. I've always had a passion for music at a young age, and I just have been working at it ever since. Forming my own band about 10 years now. So I've been with a band about 10 years, making music and just performing all over the Metro Detroit area and making a name for myself.
Yeah, it's incredible. I can tell just from seeing your social media and everything that you've done so much. Just seeing all the live performances you've done and just your track record alone that you showcase is incredible. So I'm excited to start diving into some of this year. I guess we'll just kind of start, from influences in music, like coming up, maybe even growing up, some of the people you listen to, or really where that love for music kind of began for you.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I definitely I was attracted to the heavy hitters at a young age. So I'm talking Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Luther Vandross, Anita Baker. So very soulful, very powerhouse, very just, amazing on stage. I was definitely attracted to their stage presence and the fact that they were just amazing vocalists, and later on learning that they were, also writers and producers. That was very interesting to me, and I wanted to basically do what they did.
Yeah. Did you ever have a background in the church growing up, like being in choir or anything like that as well?
So that's very surprising. People always ask me, and I did not grow up in the church. I definitely did have gospel influences when I joined choir in middle school, elementary, middle, and high school. I was introduced to gospel music and different traditional spirituals and hymns and things like that. So that's where I got a lot of my background in gospel. But I did not grow up in the church, but I love God and I love Lord, and I just didn't grow up in the church as like a choir member and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's a fun fact, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Because I would have guessed the opposite, honestly, just from knowing like your style of music and everything. So that is pretty cool to hear that it kind of just came to you naturally in that way as well. So it's great to hear. And as far as like live performing goes, because I can tell live performing is a big aspect of what you do, with your music. When did that kind of get going for you? Was it 10 years ago when you kind of got in the band and everything, or were you doing live performances even before that?
Yeah, so I was doing live performances in the form of doing showcases and talent shows, so mainly with tracks. But I still, it was still live. I was still singing live vocals and things like that. And that kind of kick-started everything. I did a competition. It was a karaoke competition out in a smaller suburb. I want to say, was it like, I think it was Royal Oak, Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I entered that competition and I went pretty far in that competition. And I just said, wow, if I can do this and sing in front of these people to these tracks, then I might be on to something.
Yeah.
And so I continued doing that. And actually, in college, I entered, I went to University of Michigan, and we had something called Michigan Idol. And I actually placed second place in that competition as well. And it was, like I said, it wasn't with a band, but it was with tracks. But there was live audience, live, vocals and everything. And I loved it. So I said to myself, if I can do this, then maybe I can take it up a notch and get a band.
Yeah, for sure. And what
That
would
was like 2008-ish. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's wow. That's like
Yeah.
at least 15 years right there.
I know,
Going on.
right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm aging myself.
It's crazy for sure. And what would you say is like your favorite part of live performing? Because I always like to ask that to people that either do concerts in certain venues, or maybe they just perform locally. And I always get kind of different answers from people. So for you, what do you think that is?
Just the audience's energy, like what they give to you. It's like you give them your talent and you give them, a performance, and they, clap, they dance, they sing, they, make noise, they, tell you, positive things like, go girl, or sing it or whatever. All that just makes you just want to do and give them more. And I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And I just asked a question last week. I was talking to an artist. His name's Daniel Kaiser. He told me that his favorite venues to perform at are smaller venues, maybe like even 40 to 50 people, much smaller, much more intimate venues, because you kind of get a lot more reaction from certain people, and those people will probably remember it a lot more. So have you had like a similar experience with, your live performances as well?
Yes, I definitely like live, intimate concerts, just because, like you said, the people are kind of like more engaged and more like with you. There's a amazing like historical venue in Detroit called Baker's Keyboard Lounge. I used to perform there quite a bit, and people would come there from all over. Like some people would come in from out of town, people come, around the Metro Detroit area, and they would just be sitting there just enjoying the show, like very little to no talking, and background noises. They were actually engaged in the conversation. I mean, in the performance, because that's what they were there for. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Live, intimate concerts really are amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as like bigger venues are concerned, I know you've done like the national anthem for the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Pistons as well. You've done a lot of bigger events too. So how would you describe the contrast between those smaller venues and doing the bigger events like those?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, those are definitely, big venues, lots of people, lots of energy, lots of behind the scenes of, producers telling you, all right, stand here, wait here. So it's a lot more, I would say a little more nerve wracking. Once I'm in my element and I'm singing, I'm fine. But the anticipation of getting to the performance is kind of like a little more nerve wracking, because it's like, you gotta nail it. You gotta be on time. It's so much details and inner workings with it. Whereas with the intimate concerts, you just feel more like at home, because the audience is there for you, and they're just like, whatever you give us, we appreciate, because they're there to see you, and they bought tickets to come and see you. So it's just like we're just at home, just enjoying a concert and just vibing together. So yeah, but I definitely love both though. Performing is just for me.
Yeah. And off the top of your head, give me, maybe a best performance and maybe a worst one as well. If there is a worst one. Hopefully not, but
I know, I hope there's not, but it would probably be when I was young. Actually, there is one. When I was in 5th grade, I was in, my friends and I created like a little play musical thing, and we were performing it, and I actually got a dose of stage fright, and I just kind of froze. So I didn't do anything. It wasn't really a performance, but it was probably my worst, because I just froze.
Yeah.
And just stood there. So that'd be my worst. And the best, I've definitely had some amazing opportunities, but I have to say, performing Lift Every Voice and Sing for the NFL draft, that has to be just like the peak of all the creme de la creme of performances.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick minute out to let you know about a couple different ways that you can support the podcast. One of the ways is by clicking that support the podcast button within your streaming platform. That is if you want to be a monthly supporter of the show. You can contribute either 99 cents, $5, or $10 a month. So that's the first way, and that's the more traditional way that we've had now for the last couple years. The other method that we actually just recently introduced is from our good friends over at Ko-fi. Ko-fi is a virtual tip jar. We have set our limit to a minimum of $10, but you can go make one-time, one-off donations. So if you visit ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, you'll be able to donate. And all these different forms of donation go towards getting new guests every single week, getting potential sponsors on board to do giveaways, and overall just making the show better for you guys. So if you want to do that Ko-fi link, it's ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Otherwise, again, look for that support the podcast button in your streaming platform if you'd like to be a monthly supporter. And I just want to say thank you guys for your contributions. And without further ado, let's get back into the episode. Yeah, that's incredible. My friend actually got to go to that draft because that was this past spring, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in Detroit. Yeah. It was in my hometown.
Awesome. That's incredible. And I think it's good about the worst performance. I think it's good that it was that long ago and not like last week. You know
exactly
what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's good to say like, oh, that one of my first performances was the worst. Then I kind of worked from there, and then things just slowly got better. So that's great to hear. And is there any collaborators, anybody you've been working with, or maybe that you've worked with in the past that you want to give a shout out to today? Could be your bandmates, could be some other individuals as well.
Yes, so I'd love to give a shout out to my band. They're called Class Act, and it's headed by Mr. Frank Simmons. He's an amazing keyboardist and music director. So shout out to that amazing band that always has my back and always, keeps the vibe going strong. And then also shout out to my producer that I've been working with for several years now. His name is Alexander Goss. We've done several songs together. One of them is Night Breeze. Another one is called We Can Get Away. And we actually have new music coming out in 2025. So I'm excited to continue collaborating with him. But those are some great people I've had the pleasure of working with. And also my group. I'm also a part of a girl group called Shades of United Ladies, but we call ourselves Soul for short. But we've been working together for about 4 years since the pandemic, which is funny. So shout out to my group mates, Carla, Bianca, and Ava J.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of like what we just talked about with the contrast between different things, give me some of the contrast between being in a group, performing, or just recording and writing and doing those things as opposed to doing things kind of on your own. Have you ever had any clashing with, other bandmates, or really just like conflicting styles that are different from, when you're working on your solo work?
Yes. So when I'm working on my solo work, I pretty much have, like you say, total creative control. I can sing about or write about whatever I want. Whenever I'm working with a group or band or whoever, I have to keep them in mind, and we have to do a lot of compromising, which is a good thing because it definitely tests your skill. Because if you can work with other people and put your ideas together to make something great, that's a beautiful thing. And that means you have some for sure talent, because you can put your ego to the side and put your, work with those people to create something great. So I really enjoy both. I love creating my own music, but then I also love working with other people because it kind of takes away some of the load as well. Because like if you have a song to do, you have your ideas and other people input their ideas, and it's like, oh, the song is pretty much done now because we've all put our heads together and made this amazing collaboration. So I'm definitely pro collaboration for sure.
And I feel like you always got to find the right people too, because when you find the like minds, like you said, when you're putting your ideas together, it's like a perfect match. And then you can really get things done and get things accomplished. So it's great to hear that that's been like the experience for you as well. And as far as like things you got coming up, you just mentioned the music. So let's touch on the music you got coming up first. in 2025. Is there anything you can reveal about that, when we can be expecting it, or just how it's going? Like, how's the process been
Yeah,
going?
so the process is going great. We actually just wrapped up the songs. It's pretty much in the post-production phase of mixing and mastering. We're looking at releasing it in the first quarter, so the first portion of 2025. It is basically multiple songs. We have a song. I can release the name. So one of the songs is called "Come to Me," and I also have a remix to it where I feature an amazing hip hop artist named Jamar Meringue, and he's from Detroit as well. He's doing making a lot of moves in Detroit and doing a lot of great work and activism out in Detroit. And then I also have another song called So Much More, and it's like I actually get to do something I've never really done before, which is I get to rap a little bit in that song. I never rapped or did anything hip hop based, so I actually experimented and pushed myself to try something new. Shout out to Alexander Goss for encouraging me, like, do you rap? And I was like, not really. He was like, I think you can, like, just write something, but then speak it, or think spoken word instead of singing. And so I did it and practiced, and it worked out. So it's going to be on the new music. So look out for that, guys.
I was going to say that has me excited now, because that sounds like it's going to be very cool to hear. So I'll definitely be on the lookout. And like I said earlier, this is coming out in like January. So by the time this comes out, we'll be close probably to some of those releases.
Yeah, I'll be able to provide a date, hopefully, and then when you release it, you can put the actual date in the caption or something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so everybody listening, definitely go, check those out if they're out, or just be on the lookout in the next few months for sure. And is there any live events that you have planned for 2025, anything locally or even beyond that you know of?
Yeah, so I do book a lot of private events like weddings and corporate parties and things like that. So that's booking up pretty well in 2025. And I also have some winter things coming up. I'm going to be doing at the Detroit Yacht Club. I'm going to be singing the national anthem for their officers ball, which is really like a fancy exclusive event, which I'm excited about. That's like the end of January. I'm going to be doing that. And then I'm also going to be doing a Black History themed event in Southfield, Michigan in February. So I'm going to be, doing some things, and I'm excited. The year starts off a little slow because people are recovering from the holidays and things. But as we push into the late winter, early spring, the things will start to pick up for sure. Yeah. And I will for sure keep you guys posted.
Yeah. Staying busy and staying productive too. So that's great to hear. Yeah, absolutely. And we're down to the last few questions here, and these are ones I ask on every episode. Okay. The first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago and maybe give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would push myself, or tell myself to take more chances and not be so scared of, like, what if I fail, or what if people don't like it? I would just say, whatever's on your heart, just go for it. Because I know there were times in the past where I was like, well, maybe this isn't the right thing to do, or maybe I shouldn't sing about that, or, maybe I should, not ask that person to collab with me. They're so busy. I would say you never know until you try.
Yeah. Got to put yourself out there as much as you can. Yep. And if we flip that question then and we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself musically and in life in general too?
Oh, so in life in general, so my daughter will be 14 years old. So that's like I'm a teenager. And so I think what I envision for myself, I would love to be more of a touring artist. So I feel like right now I'm pretty much well known in the Metro Detroit area, which is great, but I would love to branch out and be known in the Midwest, on the East Coast, in the South, on the West Coast. I'd love to be able to just branch out and, maybe even tour with a national artist to where I'm an opening act. I would love to do that. And also just expand my writing skills for other artists. Like, I write for myself, but I would love to write for others and collaborate with writing group camps and things like that, and just take more chances and put myself out there. So I see that for myself in 10 years, or definitely between 5 to 10 years for sure.
Well, if you're ever in Ohio, let me know. I don't know if you've done shows down here yet, but we're kind of neighbors almost. So
yes, we are.
For sure. So I would definitely love to see a show one day.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would love to have you.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. And do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
So yeah, I would just say if you have a dream and you have something that you're passionate about and you want to, you want to do something, I say go for it because, we only have one life after going through this pandemic that we went through several years ago. It's like you look at your life and you're like, man, I need to really make these changes, or I need to do things that I thought about doing in the past, but I put them off. Don't put it off.
Yeah.
Go for it. The worst thing that can happen is, it doesn't work out, but at least you can say you tried and you don't want to live with any regrets. So shoot for those goals and passions while you can.
Yeah. And all we can do is our best every day. Just give your all every day and see what happens. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Angela, I got to say again, thank you so much for wanting to come on the show. I'm excited to see what you got coming up this year in 2025, and we'll have to stay in touch for sure. And if you ever want to come back, doors always open. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. I really enjoyed myself, Anthony. Thanks a lot.
Thanks everyone for listening today. That was episode 240. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit that support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send us any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. As always, every Tuesday night, be sure to tap in on twitch.tv/AnthonyChurch24 for more in-depth and exclusive content. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thanks as always for listening.